material nature appears quite amazing sometimes, but if you really think about it, it doesn't have life. Material elements are dead, they're not conscious. What is this body made of? The same elements that constitute anything else in this material world. Therefore, it doesn't have life. The skin, the bones, the flesh, the blood, they're not living. They're just part of this very sophisticated machine. It's the force, it's the spark, it's that Atmah, it's that soul that gives life to this material body. Now, Bhagavad Gita describes in great detail the science of self-realization again. Actually describes the nature of that Atmah soul. In Western countries, a lot of people believe they have a deeper self, a divinity, something more. But it's very vague, no one really knows. But in India, even the street sweeper, even the guy in the market selling the oranges, or the apples, or the mangoes, they all know these things. They've known it for over 50 centuries, actually for thousands of years. It's a very amazing culture in India. That's why many Westerners have searched for the key answers to life, like who am I, where have I come from, where am I going, what's after death. They naturally turn towards the East. They turn towards India for the answers to those questions. So Krishna describes the nature of that Atman. It's fascinating. Actually, we're fascinated by so many news reports and world events. But this is the real thing that we should be fascinated by, who we really are. And he describes that soul as being 1/10,000th the tip of a hair in dimension, like in a dormant state, like a seed. A seed's very small, but it has huge potential. So that Atman, that soul, is a very tiny particle within the body, in the region of the heart. It's floating, what we call in Sanskrit on prana, life airs. It's floating there. And although it's very small, it's very powerful. It's present throughout the entire body in the form of consciousness. Just like the sun. Relatively compared to this universe, the sun is very, very small. It looks big to us on the tiny earth in our little Melbourne, the big sun, but if you compare it to the universe, it's only a speck. But it's so powerful that it's present throughout the entire universe in the form of heat and light. In the same way, that tiny particle of soul, you, are present throughout the body in the form of consciousness. So when you touch your foot, you feel it, you touch your head, although you're actually here. And intuitively, we know that we're here in this part of our body, because when you identify yourself, you say, I want to tell you. You don't go, I want to tell you. We know. And that tiny particle of spirit comes into the body at the moment of conception. It's not that the man and the wife, by having union, are actually creating something so phenomenal as life, with all its feelings and emotions and desires. No. They're just setting up a house. Like some company builds houses and they put a sign outside, for sale. So at the moment of conception, the sperm and the ovum, according to the text of the Gita, the ancient yogis, they say that sperm and the ovum meet, and then, of course, they don't put up a for sale sign, but by providence, by destiny, by karma, our karma in previous lives, we are placed into that little emulsification. And because of the presence of that powerful particle of spirit, the body grows. And it grows, and it grows, and it grows. We take birth, we're infants, we're young adults, we're middle-aged, we get old. And then at one point in our existence, that particle of spirit leaves the body. When this body can no longer contain that powerful soul, it just leaves. Just like a car. Another analogy is there's the car and there's the driver of the car. So here's the car, and who's the driver? The spark of life there is driving. But everything's temporary in this world. All things come to pass. So eventually your car, I don't think anyone has the same car their whole life. Of course, nowadays with the economic situation, you may have to keep your car a long time. But generally, we keep a car for maybe 8, 9, 10 years. Even if you keep it 20 years, eventually it's going to fall apart. And what do you do when it falls apart? Just before it's on its last legs or last wheels, you drive it into the car dealer, the dealership, and you get out and say, hey, sir, this is a fantastic car. I had it for 20 years. And he looks at it, he's an expert, he said, I'll give you $200 for that car, he says. And you go, all right. You give him the keys, you sign the paper. Then you say, well, now what? He said, well, I've got a lot of cars here in the lot. Which one do you want? You take that $200 or whatever, you put it as a down payment, call up your bank, and hopefully within a few hours or a few days, you drive away in a new car. That's just day-to-day life. But actually, that's the mechanics of this material nature. That is life in essence. That's what happens to us when the passenger leaves the body of the car. We get out, and what happens when you die? It's a big question mark in Western culture. Not in India. Our Western civilization is very materially advanced, but not so spiritually advanced. So it's described in the Gita that when you leave this body, Krishna says, Dehi nosmin yata dehe, kovanam yoganam jara, tatati antaraspaktir, tirastata namuyanti. As the embodied soul passes from the body of a baby to a boy, to a youth, to an old man, the soul passes into another car. It passes into another body at the moment of death. This is not philosophy. This is not speculation. This is not spirituality or religion. This is just the mechanics of life. Even in our lifetimes, we're changing our bodies. When I was in medical school, we learned that every 7 years, all the cells in the body change. That's science. It means if you're 21 years old, you've had a change of 3 bodies. Now, did you die 3 times? Did you become a different person 3 times? No. Look in the mirror. Once you had a body, you were 5. Where's that body now? Gone. You're the same person. And sometime in the future, you'll have an old body, but you're the same person. Just the body's changing, but the soul remains the same. So just as we change bodies, according to science, in this lifetime, without dying, we also change our bodies at the final moment of this body. We just go into another body. It's for an introspective sage who's realized it's no big deal. Just like this evening, you're going to go home and you're going to change into your pajamas. You don't go through a crisis. Oh my God, take off these clothes and put on my pajamas. What's happening? No, you just go home and try. So one who's realized, Dhira's tattva namuyanti, Krishna says. Dhira, he's very sober at that inevitable moment when we change cars and we change the body. He's not bewildered by such a change. And how many changes have there been? Well, how many cars have you had? 3, 4, 5?